So you've been at this English thing for a while, right? You can probably understand most of what I'm saying, but you still feel, well, stuck. Today, we're going to change that. We're breaking down the 3 keys you absolutely need to finally break through that plateau and start speaking with confidence. Let's do this.
Does this sound familiar? You're studying, you're putting in the hours, but you just don't feel like you're getting any better. I totally get it. It's that frustrating feeling of hitting a wall. Trust me, it's a super common feeling. But the good news is, there's definitely a way through it.
And here's the secret, the thing that nobody tells you. The solution isn't just more hours with your head buried in a book. It's about studying smarter. It's about focusing on the few things that give you the biggest results, the things that really move you from sounding like a learner to sounding, well, natural. It's all about shifting your strategy.
And that strategy, the one we're going to focus on, is something I call the 80-20 vocabulary secret. Seriously, this one idea can completely change how you approach learning English.
So what is this 80-20 principle? Well, it's this incredibly powerful idea that says a huge chunk of your results, like 80% of them, come from a tiny fraction of your effort, just 20%. For language learning, this is a game changer. It means that most of your fluency, that natural, confident sound you're looking for, comes from mastering a small, specific group of words and concepts. So we're going to laser focus on that critical 20%.
So here's our game plan. We're going to dive deep into the 3 big topics that make up that 20%. First, phrasal verbs, then idioms, and finally, word formation. Mastering these 3 is your most direct path to finally breaking through that learning plateau and really feeling fluent.
All right, first up, phrasal verbs. These are absolutely essential. I can't stress this enough. They are one of the biggest, if not the biggest, difference between sounding like a textbook and sounding like a native speaker.
Okay, check out this sentence. We've got 3 phrasal verbs packed in here. Push back, that just means to postpone something. End up is about an unexpected result, how things turned out. And call off, that simply means to cancel. See? The words themselves are simple. Push, back, and up. But when you put them together, the meaning completely changes.
And this is where you can really see the difference. A learner might say something like, John was going to postpone the meeting, but in the end, canceled it. I mean, it's grammatically correct, sure, but it just doesn't sound natural. A native speaker would almost always use the phrasal verb. If you're not using them, it's a huge tell that you're still in that learner phase. So how do you actually get good at these things? Well, here are 4 quick tips. 1, start with the most common ones you hear every day, like wake up or sit down. 2, group them by topic, so all your phrasal verbs for work or for travel. 3, figure out which ones can be split, like put your clothes away. And 4, try to find a simple one-word synonym for them, like hang out just means spend time, makes it so much easier. All right, let's move on to our second key. And this one is a fun one, idioms. If phrasal verbs are kind of like the skeleton of natural speech, idioms are the personality. They add all the color, the flavor, and the cultural context to your English. Let me tell you a quick story to show you what I mean. Imagine this. A young marketing professional gets fired. 6 months go by, no job. He was totally down and out. He had no money, no job, no hope. He was really in a bad place. Then, out of nowhere, he gets this huge job interview. But here's the catch. The final test is to give a presentation on a topic he knows absolutely nothing about. And he's only got 30 minutes to prepare. He decides to just bite the bullet, to face this really difficult situation with courage.
So he's in the middle of his presentation, and his mind goes blank. Things were getting out of hand. They were getting out of control. So what does he do? He comes up with something brilliant, totally off the cuff, completely spontaneous, with zero preparation. And guess what? It worked. He got the job. See how those idioms just made that story come alive?
So how do you learn one? Let's take bury the hatchet and break it down. Okay, literally, what does it mean? Bury is to put something in the ground, and hatchet is a small axe. Now, get a picture of that in your head. Two old enemies literally burying their weapons in the ground. That image helps you remember the real meaning, which is to stop fighting and make peace.
So, the big takeaway here is this. Always, always connect the literal meaning to the figurative one. First, visualize what's literally happening. Like, it's raining cats and dogs? Just picture it. Second, use the context of the conversation to figure out what it really means. And third, a fun little trick, look up the origin story. Knowing where an idiom comes from makes it stick in your brain so much better.
All right, and now for our third and final key. And trust me, this one is an absolute game changer for your vocabulary. Word formation. This is how you take the words you already know and basically multiply your vocabulary without learning tons of new words from scratch.
And you know what? The process is way simpler than it sounds. You just take a base word that you already know, like short, and you add a little ending, a suffix, to create a noun, shortage. The verb close becomes the noun closure. The word father becomes fatherhood. You're not learning brand new words, you're just learning new versions of words already in your brain. And this is the 80-20 rule in its purest form. You don't need to memorize every single prefix and suffix in the dictionary. That's crazy. By just mastering a handful of the most common ones, you give yourself the keys to unlock and understand thousands of new words. It's an incredible shortcut.
So how can you start doing this? Easy. First, learn the common endings or suffixes for nouns, verbs, and adjectives. Second, learn what the beginnings or prefixes mean. For instance, re just means again, like in redo, and over means too much, like in overwork. Finally, use a dictionary. If you learn childhood, look it up and you'll find motherhood and neighborhood right there with it.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. Your path out of that intermediate plateau and into real fluency, it isn't about learning a million random words from a list. It's about strategic, laser-like focus.
You know, it all boils down to just one number. 3. That's it. Just 3 high-impact areas that are going to deliver 80% of your results. Forget about trying to learn everything all at once. Just focus here.
So from now on, I want you to remember your new study plan. It's built on these 3 pillars. Number 1, phrasal verbs, to make you sound natural. Number 2, idioms, to add that color and cultural depth. And number 3, word formation, to rapidly expand your vocabulary from the words you already know. Look, getting unstuck isn't just about trying harder. It's about where you point all that energy. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Are you ready to stop studying harder and start studying smarter? Are you ready to focus on the things that really matter? The choice is all yours.